What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh1!
And once again, we've just finished eating dumplings because they're filled with a bunch of random things nowadays.
Nowadays, yeah.
Yeah, and with our mouths being full, let's go ahead and keep going with these for the greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get those questions first. Also, if you enjoy the channel and you want to support the channel, hit us up with the super thanks. If you do, you can lead a greater WAAAGH. That means that you can ask us anything and we'll make it a thumbnail question for the next episode.
Yeah. For this one, Super Non-Friendo gave us a super thanks, simply saying thanks.
You could also do that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the support, guys. You guys are amazing. Now, this question comes from H.R. Welch. Since demons disappear and go back into the warp when they die, and that's why the Nids don't typically go after them, what if the Nids were to go into the warp / the immaterium? The demons wouldn't have anywhere to go, right? Is that the case? Then they could devour the demons, right?
So, yes and no. So there are instances of the Tyranids going into the warp to devour and consume and do what they do, but at the same time, anytime something dies in the warp, it just comes right back.
Yeah.
The main example that we see this is through the eyes of Drago. Khaldor Drago, the Supreme Grand Master of the Grey Knights, is basically stuck in the warp, coming out only for a little bit to aid humanity, but then getting sucked back in. But when he's in the warp, he's not sitting idle. He's fighting against the Descendants of Chaos, fighting against Bloodthirsters, Bloodletters, Nurglings, Demonettes of Slaanesh, anything and everything. He's even burned down the entire gardens of Nurgle. And guess what? They come right back.
Yeah, so if you think about it with the Tyranids, if the Tyranids could consume more powers, they're basically consuming a never-ending source of energy.
Right.
And it would be like, whoa. But the thing is that, no, the Great Devourer only devours real shit. He's not about that fake shit in the immaterium.
No. It's like us eating dumplings with no cream filling or no filling at all.
Yeah.
We'd rather have surprise filling than no filling.
Like ground beef or some shit like that.
Come.
Okay. But sometimes the Tyranids do go into the warp. They've been into the Eye of Terror, and they've noticed. Well, let me just backtrack because I got distracted with that. The Tyranids cannot consume warp
the
stuff.
immaterium.
Yeah. So when they go in there, they can chase the demons and kill the demons, but there's nothing to consume. Now, there are images of like Tyranids consuming Chaos Space Marines, cultists, and all that kind of stuff. But those are real people that were corrupted. Or sometimes even like, what are the dudes with the one eye?
Nurglings?
Not Nurglings.
Plague.
Yeah, plague bearers.
Bearers, there you go.
A plague bearer was created by a worshiper. So there's like actual matter there that turned into a plague bearer. So the Tyranid is consuming not the warp bits, but the actual person that was there before, kind of thing. It's like a mutated man.
Right. And men have come.
Yeah, so like I guess yes, the Tyranids eat cum. But what I'm saying is, so when they go into the immaterium, they just every time I just get backtracked. When they go into the immaterium, they can consume those things, but they can't consume the actual essence of a god.
Right.
However, there have been some tendrils of the Hive fleets that have gone in, and some crazy shit has happened. So the one that I remember is Hive Fleet Kronos. Mm-hmm. Went into the warp, and there might have been some type of time travel associated with that Hive Fleet to the past. And you can check out our 40 facts on Hive Fleet Kronos, I think, and it kind of explains it. So the reality warping effects of the immaterium affect the Tyranids as well, but the Tyranids don't know what to do with it.
Right. For more information on that, I greatly recommend you guys check out the Slaanesh Tyranid video.
Yeah.
Because it also shows that Tyranids can be corrupted by the things they devour.
Yeah. And then there's also another Hive Fleet that might be developing some type of Shadow of the Warp that's specifically like targeting chaos to seal warp rifts and stuff like that. And also when the Tyranids came in, they already had the Shadow of the Warp, supposedly. Mm-hmm. So it's just like a whole thing. So this question is like really just like a rabbit hole, because we can start talking about time and space within the Tyranids and why they came in with warp stuff, but we need to get to other questions.
Yeah, and this question ties in perfectly with that one. From the rest of your guys' videos, I can infer that chaos seems to taint anything in the 40K universe. So, is there any documented chaos squads? because I love me some chaos dwarfs.
Of course, who doesn't love angry little men with spikes?
Right. But so before we get to the chaos squats, I do want to say that for the most part, chaos does come off that way, that they can corrupt and basically taint anything, be it living or non-living, because you do see demon engines. But the thing about that is that it's kind of wishy-washy if chaos can corrupt
Non-living things?
yeah, because with like the Men of Iron, they weren't really corrupted, but then apparently there's also with the Dark Mechanicum a way to input binary code into machines that is kind of like a corruption of sorts.
So it turns into like this, like, I don't even know what, like a philosophical question of like, what is corruption?
Right. Because demon engines aren't machines corrupted. It's the soul of a demon forcefully put into a machine.
Right.
And they're like raging out because it hurts to be inside this machine.
Yeah, it would give you a crick in the neck.
Right. I mean, that's why there's a band called Rage Against the Machine, because of Warhammer 40K and the whole process of the demon forges.
Exactly, yeah. But to answer the question.
Chaos squats, that's a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing that is not corrupted by chaos, and again, this is really making you question what corruption is, are the Eldar. Like Craftworld Eldar, and just Eldar in general, do not worship these gods. They live in a completely like different, like they're more angelic in a way, created by the old ones. So like the Dark Eldar, they don't worship Slanesh. They fear Slanesh. Slanesh would destroy them. They feed off of pain and misery and all that kind of stuff. But they're not chaos, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Dark Eldar are not chaos.
Yeah. Next question.
This one's by Kenneth Lynn. Can the orcs loot Necron machines?
Yeah, they can loot anything.
They could even loot themselves.
Yeah.
And that happens more times than you can think.
Well, I mean, that's what Godskool Magork Thraka is. He's just a looted orc knob. Because his name was something different, too.
Henry?
Yes, it was Henry.
But yeah, orcs can basically loot anything and everything. There was a model, a playable model, that was like a looted wagon. And like you could just use anything as that. I think they've taken it away because GW is trying to make sure that there is a physical, actual model for every unit that has rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why it went away. But it was pretty cool because I've seen some pretty awesome conversions of like a Tau Piranha into a looted wagon. I've seen orcs riding like a Carnifex and that being used as a looted wagon.
Yeah, it got crazy. I'm trying to think of like a YouTuber that did that, but I don't even remember. I want to say Mini Wargaming, but I don't think so.
I think they had a looted Necron orc army or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Next question comes from Johnny Blaze 4053. Why does it sound like a good amount of Space Marine terms come from German/Nazi terms? Because the 80s were crazy, man.
Yeah. Rogue Trader was a wild time to be a 40K fan because 40K didn't even exist.
Yeah, sex was sex. Like sometimes, whoever would creep into your tent, that's who you would fuck.
Yeah. But you got to look at it in terms of like the regime that 40K is set in. It's a lot of oppression, a lot of not really knowledge, information, and enlightenment being put on. It's a regression. You look at like the actual military and how they fought, and it's very similar to like the old regimes of like Germany and
Blitzkrieg.
The Blitzkrieg, the Italian Mussolini, and all that stuff. So that's kind of where they're getting at. But then you look at other planets, and it's like completely different. With like, because like you look at the Death Corps of Krieg, that's very heavily influenced by like the Germans and stuff like that.
Trench warfare.
And then you look at like the Catachan jungle fighters, and those are like Rambo, or I guess you could say even like Vietnam, part of humanity. So yeah, there's varying arrays of this. You could even say that the Aquila, the eagle, that could be a representation of it. So there's a lot that stems from those times.
And also remember that like everything is influenced by something else, and everybody bites or everybody steals. So like the Nazis stole from the iconography of a bunch of places, like the swastika is just an upside down
well, there's a
Hindu
Buddhist. Is it Buddhism or Hinduism?
One of those.
Yeah.
And also like the Aquila is something that derives from the Roman legions. So it's like pay respects to that kind of thing. So then you have to ask yourself, is like 40K influenced by Nazis or the Roman Empire or the Greeks or like whoever came before them? Like,
The answer is yes to all of that.
yeah.
I mean, you have entire things called, like, when a Space Marine becomes a Primaris, that's called crossing the Rubicon.
And why?
And why? Because of old times when the actual soldiers crossed the river Rubicon to battle or whatever.
And I think that was the formation of the first emperor, because he was like, before it was like city-states, and then who was it? It was probably Caesar, right?
Probably.
Caesar crossed the Rubicon.
Or was it Alexander?
No, Alexander was Macedonian. He wasn't even
True.
Greek. But yeah, good question. And that's the cool thing about 40K is that it's really good for all like history buffs, and it like sucks you in. Next question.
This one's by Brian BBBBB. Do you think the lion should have stayed young, or is the old lion better?
I feel like we answered this question a lot.
Because he asked this question a lot.
Then yeah, he should have stayed young. Because I think last time we said he should have stayed old.
Yeah, let's switch it up.
Yeah, because youth is always better. Like the lion would be good on TikTok. He would know the cool terms. Like I don't even know what a good term is anymore.
A good term, like you guys have a treaty, like we're on good terms.
No, I meant like when somebody's like, how like did you create your list? And you're like, yeah, I got my list. Oh, what you think of it? Oh, it's mid.
Yeah.
Mid.
Or like, I got hella Riz.
Yeah, Riz. There you go, Riz. I had to Google what Riz was.
Charisma.
Oh,
Riz.
yeah.
At least that's what the kids say.
And the lion would know that if he was young.
But now that he's old, distinguished, matured, he wants Angron off his yard.
For sure.
And-
He can forest walk.
Yeah, forest walk.
Yeah.
That's literally taking a stroll through nature.
So like we would say a walk in the park. He says forest walk.
Yeah, because he's cool like that. He got a little bit of Riz, but he's a little mature too.
There you go. And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening and hanging out with us, and we'll talk some other day.
That's right. As always, it's been the Sound Alchemist,
Gershwan.
and we are out of here.